Welcome back to the deep dive.
Yeah.
You know how we do it. We dig into the sources, cut through the clutter, and give you the really interesting stuff, the things you need to know. And today, we're looking at a real puzzle from the early Beatles. We're going deep on It Won't Be Long. You know that amazing track that kicks off their second album with the Beatles from back in '63?
Yeah, it's a fantastic one.
It really is. And all our sources agree. I mean, the song is just, it's explosive. The lyrics are smart. It's put together so well. So the big question we're tackling is, if it's that good, why did it just sort of vanish? Why did the Beatles basically drop it?
That's exactly it. That's the mystery we're diving into. We'll break down why it's brilliant, the sound, the feel, the clever writing, and then figure out the irony of why it barely saw the light of day publicly. It's less about the song itself failing and more about, well, their career just took off like a rocket.
Okay, let's unpack this. So let's go back to '63. When you hear It Won't Be Long, it just jumps out at you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A prime example of Lennon's early songwriting power. And it shows how fast the band was evolving, even just months after their first album. It sounds so immediate, raw, electric.
Absolutely. And you can almost hear them thinking, the sources point to this being a pretty deliberate attempt to capture that same magic that made She Loves You such a massive hit just before it.
Okay, deliberate how? Because the first thing that hits you is that sound, that yeah, yeah, yeah thing.
Exactly.
They use that exact same hook from She Loves You. Why do that again so soon? Weren't they worried about repeating themselves?
Well, not if you're the Beatles in late '63, apparently. They were building this brand, this sound, high energy, incredibly catchy pop, and they knew it worked. That, yeah, wasn't really repetition in their minds, I think. It was like instant recognition.
A signature sound.
Yeah, exactly. They dropped it into It Won't Be Long, like right after the main chorus line. It gives you that same burst of energy, instantly familiar, makes you feel like, yes, this is the Beatles. It connects the songs.
And it's got that fantastic call and response, too. John sings the line, the group shouts back. Very R&B, but pure pop energy.
Classic early Beatles.
It just sounds like something you'd play live to get a crowd going crazy, like the perfect way to open a show.
It's the sound of a band hitting its stride, really perfecting their attack. Fast, driving music. And it showed they weren't just about singles, right? They could fill an album with quality stuff, gave the whole LP instant weight.
But okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because it's not just loud and catchy. The sources all zoom in on the lyrics, especially in the chorus. There's a layer of smarts there. This wasn't just simple pop stuff. It was that clever John Lennon wordplay starting to really show up.
Exactly. That's the magic trick, right? Tucked inside this huge, energetic pop song is this little bit of ambiguity, this cleverness. That's what set them apart. The line everyone points to is, "It won't be long till I belong to you." And on one level, it works just fine as typical pop lyric, meaning, number one, you won't be much longer until I'm back with you. Simple, hopeful, fits the genre perfectly.
Standard stuff. Guys coming home.
Pretty much. But then there's meaning number two, the wordplay, playing on belong, sounding like the single word belong.
Okay, I see.
And that completely changes the feel. It shifts from just being about physical presence to being about commitment, about emotional ownership almost.
So it becomes, it won't be long until I commit to you, or I'm yours.
Exactly. That kind of double meaning, using wordplay for depth under this really upbeat track, that was pretty sophisticated for pop music back then. It was a signal that these guys were serious writers thinking about language.
And we know it was deliberate, right? Because Paul McCartney, decades later in his '97 book, actually called out spotting that double meaning. Said it was, quote, the high spot of writing that particular song. Why remember that specific detail?
Well, it proves their point, doesn't it? It shows they weren't just, the mop tops yelling, yeah. They're playing with words. They were showing themselves, and maybe critics too, that they could be clever even in a 2-minute pop song. It shows ambition.
Right. The energy had intelligence behind it.
Structure and smarts.
Okay, so perfect structure, clever lyrics, tons of energy. Seems like a guaranteed hit live. Which brings us right back to the main puzzle, the thing that confuses listeners. Why did it disappear? If it was such a clear winner for the stage, why didn't they play it?
Yeah, it's the big irony, isn't it? It sounds tailor-made for a live show, call and response, dynamic vocals. But the sources are crystal clear on this. The Beatles never played It Won't Be Long live.
Never.
Not once in a proper concert. And not even in any of their BBC radio sessions where they often tried out album tracks.
That's wow. Especially considering how much they toured in '63.
How?
Hundreds of shows. If they weren't playing this, what does that tell us about the song itself?
It tells us it was fundamentally a studio creation, something they built layer by layer in the recording studio that maybe wasn't so easy to just bash out live, especially with the gear they had back then.
Can you expand on that? I read they even had some trouble getting the master take right in the studio. What made it too complex for the stage?
Well, think about the vocals, for starters.
Yeah.
To get that really polished, driving sound, they layered things. Multiple takes for the instruments, sure, but also really carefully arranged harmony overdubs.
Those overdubs.
Yeah. And even Ringo's drumming, like on the bridge, has these specific fills that might be tricky to nail consistently night after night when the energy's high and the sound is maybe not great.
Okay.
And that call and response section, that probably involved multiple vocal tracks layered together in the studio to get that full sound. Live, they might have only had 2 mics shared between them, trying to belt it out over screaming fans.
Simpler songs worked better live.
Simpler arrangements, yeah. Something like Twist and Shout is raw power. It works because it's simple and loud. It won't be long. Had this studio sophistication baked into it. It relied on the producer and the engineer.
So they pushed studio technology to make something impressive, but that same complexity kind of trapped the song on the record. It existed to show their depth on the album, not necessarily on stage.
That seems to be the case. They put the work in to make it a strong album track, a statement, but it just never made the jump to the live set. The only time it was ever performed publicly, quote unquote, was when they lip-synced to it on that TV show, Ready, Steady, Go, in March '64.
Lip-synced.
Yeah.
Right. So just promotion, not a real performance.
Not at all.
Okay, so what does this all mean? This feels like it points towards that idea mentioned in the sources.
Yeah.
The song just got run over by the sheer speed of everything happening.
Yeah, the casualty of speed theory. The timeline is just brutal. With the Beatles comes out, November '63?
Yep.
By the time that album's really getting traction, their focus is already shifting dramatically. Just weeks later, they put out I Want to Hold Your Hand.
Aimed squarely at America.
Exactly. And the pace just accelerates. January '64, they're writing and recording for the A Hard Day's Night movie and album. February '64, they land in the U.S. Ed Sullivan happens.
The world changes.
Totally. And their live set immediately pivots to what the new American audience wants. The big singles, the established hits they recognize.
So it won't be long. Really only had this tiny window, maybe late '63, early '64, to become part of the live show. And during that window, they were finishing the album, then immediately launching the U.S. invasion.
Right. By the time they might have considered adding it, their setlist priorities had completely changed. There was just no room, no time to look back, even a few months.
They were moving too fast. Write, record, tour, repeat. Relentless.
It was a brilliant song, a studio masterpiece for its time, but it got caught in the momentum. It was a moment frozen on vinyl, left behind by the whirlwind of their global breakthrough.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. We dove into It Won't Be Long, felt that incredible energy, admired the clever wordplay, really saw it as a peak moment in their early work. And we figured out that its strange absence from their live shows wasn't about the song's quality at all. It was down to how complex it was to reproduce live those layered studio elements and, maybe more importantly, just the insane speed of the Beatles' career exploding right then.
So the 2 key things for you to take away. First, the smarts behind that belong trick, that lyrical depth. And second, the irony that one of their most energetic, stage-ready sounding tracks was basically confined to the studio, a victim of its own clever production and the band's unstoppable success.
Right. Now, here's something to chew on. This was a technically brilliant track, sophisticated for its time, but it got instantly swept aside live because the band was moving at light speed. Think about that. How many other potentially great songs from any artist hitting a massive fast peak might have suffered the same fate? Brilliant moments just buried because the next big thing arrived before anyone had a chance to really absorb the last one.
Oh,
when you listen.
your mind will be blown away.
Totally.